Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic Magazine and Metal Nation Radio. With us, our dear friend Ethan Brosh, the man, the master, the guitar whiz himself. How are you doing, brother? It's been a while.
Whoa. Thanks for having me, Rustin. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Last time you and I talked, you were, third or fourth date of the Yngwie Malmsteen tour. How did that end up going for you?
That was a lot of fun, and the whole thing turned out really great. Everything that it ended up being better than what I could ever expect. So it was I'm really happy about that. It was that Yngwie tour was just as you can probably imagine, it was intense in every possible sense of the word. Like a lot of miles. Very difficult traveling, and very intense shows. Everything is just really loud volumes. Everything is just as crazy as it can get. But I love it. And it's such a great memory now and such a great experience. Yeah, I couldn't be happier with the way things turned out with that one.
Fantastic. Now, as a guitar player, what did you take away from spending that much time on tour with a guy like Yngwie?
I took a lot out of it because, almost every night I just went to the side of the stage and I was just watching Yngwie, up close. And I noticed, how every night differs. And, because he improvises a lot. And people don't usually talk about it. Everyone assumes that he just composes all his solos note for note. A lot of the Yngwie clones, a lot of the people that rip Yngwie off, that's the way that they approach it. But Yngwie is the real deal, and he improvises a lot, and he takes a lot of chances, and he goes out there and he gives 100%. On every single night, and it doesn't matter. Even if it's a smaller show and it's not a great turnout or whatever, it seems like those things don't affect him whatsoever. And once he's on stage, it just gives 100%, and you can just see it on his face. For me, for example. Things like that really affect me. If I'm at a show and I expected something more, or not as many people showed up or something like that, those things really affect me and the way that I play. And just seeing the way that Yngwie approaches the whole live show aspect is just is something that I learned a lot from. But yeah, just seeing the guy in action and seeing him every night, I learned a lot. But at the same time, it's not like I'm going to go and try and play all these licks and try to rip him off, because I think there are plenty of guys that already do that.
I think just spending time around other people like that are so inspiring, it's not necessarily what you take away from them in terms of their style and everything. It's just their passion for the music. And like you said, every night he gives 110%. It's because of the love affair with the guitar and the music. And playing it for one person is as important as playing it for 10,000 people.
Yeah, exactly. It really is a psychological thing where you just see it on someone's face and you can tell. You can just see the approach. It's more the approach than the actual notes that is playing, because I'm trying to go in a different direction. It's a similar style, obviously, but like I said, Yngwie does it best. You don't even want to touch that. You don't even want to go there and try to do what he's doing. But the approach, there's a lot to learn from. So
right, that's his niche. Now, as part of the tour, you did some of your solo stuff, but your other band, Burning Heat, performed. How did the crowds respond, and what is going on with that project right now?
The crowds responded well, and I wasn't sure. I think when we talked, I was at the beginning of the tour, and I was still a little bit unsure of what the reaction for Burning Heat would be. And I was pleased after the very first night in Fresno when I played with Burning Heat. People really dug it. So it was definitely a good test for the band, and I'm happy with the results too. And at the moment, I'm working on pre-production to record a full album with Burning Heat. And we're doing other things. We just 2 weeks ago we played a pool party in Florida with Burning Heat, and we opened for Trickster and Doug Aldrich's band. It was right before the Monsters of Rock left from Miami there, so that was a lot of fun. So we're doing some things, So I have the instrumental project and I have Burning Heat. So I'm focusing on both projects at the same time, which is a handful for sure.
Nice. Well, we look forward to hearing that when you finally complete the record. And I want to talk about your new solo effort in just a second. But you also released last year with Rhino the Second Angels of Babylon CD. Tell us a little bit about that record.
Oh, wow. You know all the little projects. It's amazing. Well, this is a record that Rhino has been working on for quite a while, and this was the last thing that I did with the band. And after we completed that record, I just I left the band on good terms just to focus on my own original thing. Because Angels of Babylon is really Rhino's band.
Right.
He writes all the songs, and he does almost everything. He plays almost all the instruments. And actually he ended up playing all the rhythm guitars because that's the way he wanted to have it. And I actually only played lead guitars and some nylon string guitars. But the thing is, there are a few things about. I think the record is good. I think the songs are very well written, and some of my best solos are actually on that record. And there's also a classical guitar intro for one of the songs that I'm really proud of the way that it came out. So it's a nice one.
So now let's get to the meat and potatoes of it all. Your second solo effort, Live the Dream. I know you've been working on it off and on, basically, the whole project. It's been 5 years between albums, but you spent a real good 2 years working on recording this thing. How does it contrast with your first album, Out of Oblivion?
Well, I think that I've learned a lot about how to make a record. When I started Out of Oblivion, I really had no idea what I was doing. It almost started as a demo, and when I gotten more and more into it, I wanted to just make it a real album. And I've done a lot of things wrong, and in the end, I got it to sound pretty good, but I really paid for it, and I had to correct a lot of the things while doing the record, and it took me 2.5 years to complete the whole thing. But then with Live the Dream, it was a lot more organized, and I think the production overall was a lot better. And every stage of the recording was better because I took one drummer and we went to a really good studio and we tracked all the drums to tape. And we had really, really good sources for the drums. And now, as far as recording guitars here in my own studio, I have a lot more gear and really good gear to record guitars with. And I use my ISP Theta preamp, which is probably the greatest preamp ever made. And I just recorded all the guitars, and I had an engineer who came here to my studio and recorded me, so I didn't have to do it myself, and I could really focus on just playing. And then the mixing, I managed to convince Max Norman to come out of retirement. And Max Norman, for those who don't know who he is, he produced Ozzy Osbourne's first 3 records with Randy Rhoads and Bark at the Moon with J.K. Lee, and he did all the classic Megadeth records, and he did Wicked Sensation of Lynch Mob, and he did a lot of really great sounding records. So we went to a studio called Carriage House Studios in Connecticut, Stamford, Connecticut, and we spent a week with a 48-channel SSL board, and we mixed the album the right way, basically working 14 hours every day. And after that, both Max and I went to Bob Ludwig, who's the greatest mastering engineer of all time. And he mastered the whole record. So I think that production-wise, it's definitely a lot bigger and a lot cleaner than Out of Oblivion. And I just I think I also in that time got better as a musician in general and as a guitar player. So not to diss my first record, because the first record obviously has something really special because it's really my first record that I worked my whole life on writing the material to, and there's something very honest about it. And the second record, I think it's just probably done in a better way. And I also, with the tunes themselves that I wrote, I just tried to go to explore avenues that I didn't really explore with my first record. So I tried to add stuff that didn't really happen on the first record. But at the same time, I didn't want to pull a 180 and just go in a completely different style, like some people do. So.
Right. Well, and I gotta say, having Max Norman work on the album, of course, Bob Ludwig, that alone says so much about the respect that people have for you as a guitar player and a musician, that you can get guys with those sort of credentials to come out and work on your album.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's it's a dream come true, and it really means a lot to me when I get to work with people like that, and to have their respect is something that it's just like after so many years of playing guitar and getting that respect is something that it's basically like someone telling you like you really did something good, and it really means a lot to me. And just listening to the results, because I was always very curious to see what these people who are some of the best sound engineers in the world, what can they do with my music, and what will my music sound once they're done with it. So it's a lot of fun to listen to it now and hearing their work.
All right. Well, and then you've got a guy like Dave Ellison from Megadeth, who's a very, very busy man. And, of course, I know he worked with you guys on the first Angels of Babylon record, but I understand he made an appearance on this record as well.
Yeah, and that happened when Megadeth were actually here in Massachusetts on tour. And Dave's a great guy and a great friend, and he helped me out. And like you said, he's a very, very busy man, and he still made it happen for me. So, I really appreciated that. He, really helped me out. And, I love his playing and I love his tone. And, I'm a really big Megadeth fan as well. So, yeah, that's another thing that makes the album kind of special.
Absolutely. Now, one of my favorite tracks, even though it's not indicative of the rest of the album, is Clean Slate. What's the backstory on that one?
Backstory on that one is that it started as a tune that was just guitar, because when you play hard rock or heavy metal, you're usually a part of a band. A lot of times you'll play a riff, you'll play solos, whatever, but not very often you'll play something that it's just guitar by itself playing everything, and it's just a complete, as opposed to just being a part of a band, but just being like an instrument that just does everything. And it started with me just being really into this guitar player called Tommy Emmanuel, which if you don't know him, you got to check him out. He's the most ridiculous guitar player I've ever seen. He plays mostly acoustic guitar. He's an Australian guy. He's in his 50s, and he tours all the time. He tours 330 dates a year. It's just ridiculous. So his approach to playing, because most times he plays by himself, and he plays the bass line and the harmony and the melody all at once, and it's quite amazing to see that. So I was just messing around with the guitar, and I was just trying to figure out a tune that would sound good just guitar by itself. And I actually wrote Clean Slate quite a few years ago. I actually used to play it in some of my shows, but I used to play it just guitar by itself. when it was time to record Live the Dream, I figured, maybe I can incorporate the rest of the band in that tune, because maybe it would be too boring to just hear guitar by itself for 4 minutes or whatever. But I wanted to have like a happy medium because I did like hearing the guitar by itself. So what I ended up doing was guitar by itself for the beginning of the tune, and then the band just comes in like surprisingly with a huge hit. And every time we did it on stage on the Invitor, for example, it just like once the band hit, it was just it really got the audience going, and it worked really well, especially when it's live and it's so loud. It sounds better than the record itself. So that's that's a lot of fun to do, and that's pretty much the story behind that one.
Nice. Now, rock, hard rock, and metal especially is all about the riff. And I know you love all the tracks on the album. Obviously, you spent so much time on them. But as a guitar player, there are a couple of different riffs on the album that really stand out for you that you're just absolutely in love with.
Let me think. I think the riff for the tune Space Invaders came out pretty nice. And then there's another riff on a tune called When Pigs Fly. It's just a riff in the middle of the tune, and it's a tune that I haven't given a lot of attention to out there, but I do think it has a really cool riff to it. But it's hard for me to like pick favorites. I'm
You're so
very
close to it. Yeah.
subjective. So.
I get that. Well, and you just mentioned this, Space Invaders. You shot a video for that track. Tell us a little bit about that process.
That was a lot of fun. I got to work again with a guy named Seth C. Brown, who's a really, really good video guy. He's from up in Maine, and he did a bunch of my videos from my first record. And we haven't worked together in maybe 3 years or so. And it was really a lot of fun to go back and work with him, because he's the type of guy that once we have some kind of idea, if he comes up with an idea or if I come up with an idea, once there's a good idea, he will make it happen somehow, even if it's really difficult to do. And he's the type of guy that, can just like fit to your schedule or whatever schedule we have. Like if there's an opening in like midnight on some day, like he'll make it happen. And that's pretty much the way that Space Invader actually came about, because the first half of the video was shot at MIT here in Massachusetts. It was raining that whole day, and we were just waiting for the rain to basically stop, and it just stopped around 11 at night, and we drove back to MIT and we shot the video until I think almost 3 in the morning, the first half of the video, and this was in January. January in Massachusetts is not very comfortable. You can't be too comfortable being outside.
Right.
So, we were shooting outside like in the middle of the night in Massachusetts in January. So I was really like, my fingers were frozen when we were doing that. And, and this is like one of the most technically challenging tunes on the record. So for me, I was like trying to fake it in front of the camera as best as I could. But I mean, if I was actually plugged into a real amplifier, like it would not sound like the tune. Believe me, it's like my fingers could barely move. and the thing is, then I went to the NAMM show, and it just so happened that my friend Seth ended up being in Los Angeles around the same time. So we managed to actually have like 2-3 more hours when both of us were in Los Angeles to shoot the second half of the video where you see that city at night. So yeah,
nice.
That's much the story behind Space Invaders. I thought it was probably my best video until now. But it seems like there's one person on YouTube that just really doesn't like it, and it keeps giving me dislikes all the time. So
there's always got to be a hater somewhere, right? So, and
yeah.
I didn't recognize the guitar in the video. Is that a new company, a new design?
Yeah, This is a company called Scary Guitars, not to be confused with George Lynch,
Right.
Mr. Scary. But yeah, Scary Guitars. They're based around here in Massachusetts, and one of the guys that designed the guitar is my guitar tech. So he works on all my guitars, whatever work I need, and he's a very passionate guy about anything that has to do with guitars and building guitars, and he just put like all his knowledge into it, and he came up with a great guitar. And this one is the prototype. It's not even 100% finished, but I figured, the guy made a guitar that pretty much looks like an alien, and I made a video for Space Invaders, so I thought it was just perfect, and it just gives the company, a little bit of exposure, which would be cool for people to go out and check out those guitars once they're ready, Scary Guitars, because it's just those guys really know what they're doing. So it's a really good guitar.
Awesome. Before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you, we're getting ready to do our top female shredders list for 2014. Besides your amazing sister, are there any other female guitar players that, shred up there, the lead guitar players that you think should be on the list?
Putting me on the spot there. Who said I was going to vote for my sister anyways? Let me think about that. There is an Italian girl named Claudia Gamba, and she's a good guitar player, and she's got a band called Cellulite Star, and that's a really great band, so I would put her in there.
So finally, ending it up, our pointless question of the week. What television show are you hopelessly addicted to? What do you binge watch?
Everybody Loves Raymond. It's absolutely my favorite show. It's so perfect.
Nice. Ethan, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. The new album, Live the Dream, out. It's a great album. I'm really digging. As a matter of fact, I'll be honest, on my radio shows, a lot of times I use that as sort of my when I'm talking and everything, I have that as sort of the background and everything. Hope you do.
Oh, awesome. Glad to hear that. Awesome.
Maybe you'll get a few shekels off that. Who knows? So thanks. And it's hard right now. The music industry is in such disarray these days. I mean, I don't know. Do you see any way to fix the industry these days?
Oh, my God. No, I'm really not seeing that. I think that if all the major record labels would be smart and would somehow regulate streaming and have something where, if people would actually pay for a specific streaming of a specific record. Let's say like you pay, I don't know, 30 cents to stream a record one time, and if you want to stream it again, you still pay 30 cents. But you can't stream just one song. You got to stream the whole record. Or if you want to stream that one song, you still buy the whole record. You buy just one stream. I guess, we're not going to sell CDs anymore, but streaming is where it's going, so if they can regulate that and have some real money coming in from streaming, because the way it is right now, it's like Apple is the one making all the money,
Right.
And like Spotify and all these guys, no artist is really making enough money from websites like that. So I think it's really up to like people that really have the money in the music industry, like the real major labels or whatever. Someone needs to regulate it somehow. So you'll be able to actually make some money off of making records. So I think that's the way to do it. And I don't know. Listen to more Steel Panther. They're fixing the industry. That's one band that's doing that.
Nice. Ethan, thanks so much again for taking the time. Everybody go out, ethanbrosh.com. Check out the new album. You can pick it up. I'm assuming it is on iTunes and Amazon and every place, the usual digital outlets as well.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right, brother. It's awesome to talk with you again, and I look forward to talking with you the next time, and hopefully we'll see you out on the road. It'd be nice to see you touring again.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on the air, Rustin. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Take care, brother.